Righty-ho. Let's do this. Hello folks, of course, 9 o'clock UK time, Sunday night. That can mean only one thing. It is time for the Sunday Nighter. How are we? Are we all good? Right. You know the drill. If you're here, say hello in the comments. And they will. Oh, see, people are talking already. It's good. Technology is working. The stream is confirmed that it is streaming. We are winning. That's a rarity, isn't it? Oh, we're having a shout out. Where are people from? All hail the Mel. About time. Boris, I'm here on perfect time, man. Patrick, Apple Studio, Dan, Buddy, Darren, Mike, Striking Hand, Cherry, Tam, Bleed, Warlow. Oh, quite a few new names. Hello folks, welcome to the chat. Right, this is a question and answer session, which is dead easy. All you got to do is, if you look down below in the description, you will find a link to a Google Doc, yeah. If you've got any terrain related questions, click the link, yeah. It'll open up a Google Doc. All you need to do is enter your screen name and your question, and then we'll hit those up in about 10-15 minutes. Yeah. Questions coming in already. Looking good. I have cat. So Mel has been a busy boy. In the UK it's been half term, which means the kids have been off, so you know, busy with that. Also notice we've changed the desk position slightly. I've been on a bit of a mad cull and sort around and clear out the house and that sort of stuff. I've been doing quite a lot of stuff with the studio and trying to work out the channel content, because quite a lot of you seem to like the Blood Skull and you're asking for a lot of sci-fi and that sort of stuff. And we've got this situation where FFG have got in touch, so I'm having chats with those about possible Legion and X-Wing terrain coming to the channel as well. So Mel has been a very busy boy. Yeah. Now, questions. They're coming in. Let's have a look. Yeah, coming in nicely. Mel is never late or early. He activates precisely when he means to. A bit late generally. Well, we have to work on the fact that it's family time, and moments before Mel was going live, Mel was shooing children out of the living room with their hands stocked full of Maltesers and biscuits and milk. Hey Pagan, how you doing, bud? Hey Plastic, Gala. What's the topic for tonight's chat? Where's my book? I've been having a bit of a clean up, yeah, and I haven't quite sorted my drawers out for now, and so I need to find my book with my topics in. Ah, there's my book. I much prefer a Snicker, to be truthful. I'm making a space station myself now. Nice. That's the way to do it, Mel. Ah, tell me about it. Right. Topics. I know we wrote them all down. We had a big list, didn't we? Bought versus made. 3D printing, do you fancy? Tell you what, let's kick it off with an interesting one. Please, no hang gliding. Shout out to Lucy, please. Hello, Lucy. Bring forth the Book of Ornaments. Bring forth the holiest hand grenade of Antonon. 3 shall be the number of the holiest hand grenade of Antonon. Not 1, not 2, and 4 is way out. I love that. Is PVA the same as wood glue? Yes, it is, basically. How was your Halloween? Quite quiet, actually. We had a few trick-or-treaters. We didn't do much for Halloween, to be perfectly honest. A bit busy, Kez being busy, me being busy. Kids went trick-or-treating with my mum, which was good for them. Mel needs a bookmark for Christmas. I've got a few bookmarks. It's the amount of pages you have to track. Right, topic. Let's give this 20 minutes, yeah, and see what we can come up with. When you're making terrain, yeah, you ready for a topic? Right? When you're making terrain, how would you make terrain differently for a tournament, a club, a store, personal use? What are your tips depending on what sort of things you're doing? Now, I've already done a video pretty much on this sort of stuff. Yeah, latest Warlock. But I'm curious. You know what I mean? So, tournament terrain. Let's start with tournament terrain. What would you say makes good tournament terrain when it comes to building and that sort of stuff? Mel, your watch is running a bit slow. Don't know what they're going on about. Maybe they need to refresh their screen. So come on guys, tournament terrain. Let's start with that. Now for me, yeah, if I'm looking to do terrain for tournaments, then it's you're doing a lot of terrain, so you want to keep it simple. Yeah, you want to cut down on your gribbly bits, and you know your things like your little bits of plastic, your fine details, because you've got to spread that, what do you call it, over quite a lot of pieces. Yeah. Dan's saying quick, easy, repeatable. Michael's saying streamlined production. Tam's saying it depends on the tournament. Terrain for Ancients and Medieval will be very different to 40k. Yeah? Yeah, I can see that. I mean, the type of terrain you'll be making, but the principles you apply when you make that terrain. Yeah? That's what I'm thinking. Saying simple, stylized terrain, that would work. I mean, with tournaments about gameplay. Yeah, so you'd want the terrain also to be nice and clear gameplay-wise. Do you know what I mean? So, right. I mean, Kings of War, they use a level system, a height system. Whereas a lot of other systems, it's judged by eye. So you'd want to look at, you know, like your hills. You'd want to make sure they were clearly defined as, right, what's elevated. You know what I mean? Very much like your things like hedges. Yeah, in the case of hedges, you would have to make a decision. Right, do I want this to be soft cover or do I want this to be full line of sight blocking cover? Do I need to make sure this hedge is always about waist height on a soldier, on a model? Or do I need to make sure that this hedge is always above their head? Yeah, so that when you're playing a game, the two players don't have an argument about, right, can you see that squad or not? Do you know what I mean? Ice Cube Gaming saying, yeah, easy, quick, repeatable. So that's clearly a definite. So with it being easy, quick and repeatable, it would tend to suggest that what we'd be looking to do is make the buildings that don't require lots of little fiddly bits to put together, or the hills that require lots of fiddly bits. You want nice big walls that are nice and easy to cut out. You know what I mean? Rather than, right, what we'll do is we'll make it like a stepped building with lots of sides. No, we'll make it a corner building. 2 sides, floor. Yeah. Boris is saying cheap and nasty. I've been to plenty of tournaments like that. Principles, definitely simple, stylistic rather than complex. Yeah, exactly. But in smaller spaces, I would detail it and repeat that process. Right, so Ice Cube's coming in with, this idea that, yeah, you can raise the level of your terrain, but you'd have to standardize that and keep that small. So you wouldn't be able to raise the look of the entire terrain piece. But what you could do is you could pick a couple of simple techniques and focus them in certain areas to raise the effect level of the piece without raising the workload too much. When I make terrain for tournaments, I want to see some cool centerpiece to draw people into the room and watch the matches. That's certainly a point. Do you know centerpieces? With us talking about simple and repetitive, is there a place for larger centerpieces? Do you know what I mean? Oh, thank you, Odin. Yes, Odin has donated. Jews, following from the beginning for once again. Welcome aboard, buddy. He's here from the beginning. He's normally late. He's later than me. Yeah. Yes, if you do enjoy the chat and you do enjoy the show and you do enjoy the banter, there's links down below. You can make links via Streamlabs on PayPal, and that'll make an announcement on stream, or you can go straight to the PayPal link. And there's also Patreon and the Amazon wishlist down below as well as the link to the questions, which we'll be tackling in about 10 minutes. Let's have a nose through these comments. Other than that, I want terrain that is easy to determine what it is. Players don't have to question what rules are applied to the terrain. Yeah, that makes sense. That's going back to the right, make it clear so there's no arguments. I mean, there's even a notion to actually write on the base, under the base of what it is. You know what I mean? When I make terrain, other than that, yeah, got that one. Geometrical figures of maybe wood with painted on features. Okay. Patrick, you've lost me with that comment. Make it function in multiple areas, games, minimum of 2 systems. Yeah, that's a good point. So avoid things that are overly sci-fi on your urban terrain, so it could fit like a gothic futuristic setting or Stalingrad. Obviously hills are generally they're multi-system anyway. It's when you design, the real challenges with when it comes to systems is things like scale and things like setting. Even I gave up on tournament terrain. However, the deeper the force perspective, the better within the footprint of the allowable platform. What do you mean by that? However, the deeper the force perspective, the better. Javamp, clarify on that for me, mate. Hey, Bill. Does quick, easy, repeatable not fit nicely with 3D printing? Yeah, it does if 3D printing is your method, but I mean, I'd be concerned. One of the thing is, quick. When it comes to buildings, I would argue it's quicker to make it out of foam than it is to 3D print it. Obviously, time-wise, once you've started the printing process, you can just leave it to print. But at the same time, we need to have a natter about 3D printing. I've always seen 3D printing as if you're not actually designing the terrain yourself, then I see it very much as, right, you're just buying it. You've just moved the place of manufacture to your house. You bought the manufacturing equipment and you're buying the designs and you're buying the materials, and then you're making it at your house. What would normally happen is you'd order it from someone who'd already bought the machine, has bought the materials and owned the plans, and they'd give you one. Right. Pagan's saying, but seriously, terrain usually doesn't survive tournaments intact. And that's very true. Tournament players, and this is no diss on tournament players in general, but terrain does get a hammering with tournaments. And I mean, it's not just the players. I think it's the people who set it up, put it away. The idea that it's stored for long periods of time. Especially the larger conventions, when you get these situations where the person setting the terrain up might not even be the people who make the terrain. You know what I mean? So I mean, there's an argument there for, right, you want to avoid breakable things. Would you say that's a fair comment? Do you know what I mean? Avoid anything that sticks out too far, could be easily caught. Make sure your walls are of a certain thickness or of a certain material that's relatively tough. I mean, I used to design my city fight buildings. And what I used to do was I used to essentially work out a box, of a building. And then what I'd do is I'd cut it basically like a slice straight through and bevel the edges. And what was really good about that is you could turn it sort of upside down, and it worked and it fitted into it. I'll have to get the photos of it. It's difficult to explain. But basically, I made my buildings stackable inside each other. So you could get one building, yeah, get the other half of the building, turn it round, upside down, and then stack it on. And it'd essentially make a nice flat, a nice box. Yeah, it wouldn't extend out of its footprint. Yeah, and it'd have a flat top, so you could stack another one on top. Drop zone has terrain sorted for tournaments. Card buildings. Yeah, that's smart. You know what I mean? There's an argument at the same time for using like magnetized MDF. You know, designing something which is just right. You can put these together really quickly. You know what I mean? Held together not with glue. Or the faces and the details, they're built, they're painted and, you know, all glued. But you'd have magnets recessed in places that allowed you to very quickly just clamp them together. Hey presto, full house. End of tournament, take them apart, take them all down, lay them flat pack. There'd be an argument for that with terrain as well. You could probably do that with foam in some way. Right, right, let me... Lot of comments, guys. Let me play a little bit of a catch up and wet my whistle. TT combat's fine. The paper stuff is delicate usually, but good. Going back to the card pieces. Centerpieces just for one per table. I like that idea a lot. Yeah, a character piece for each table. You could perhaps, those could be the ones that you could actually vary up a bit. But you'd have to still keep them balanced with regards to, oh, someone got a better table than me. That's another challenge, isn't it? Did you get my palms a month ago, Mel? I did, Oddin. Thank you. They're in the studio staring at me. Going back to facial hair, Mel, I certainly am. I just completely off the tournament terrain topic. Once a year, I have a complete fresh face shave. It's just something I've always done. I like to say, let the skin breathe a little. You know what I mean? And so I have a quick trim and that sort of stuff and a shave. But no, we're going back because I look way too young, clean shaven. Ice Cube saying, if you make the main terrain simple, then making a more detailed centerpiece wouldn't take that much labour. Certainly does. I mean, you know, right, we'll go really... That's a good argument, actually, if you think about it. Go really simple on the bulk of the terrain, and then go for either a centerpiece or one or two really nice pieces that are above tournament standard. Yeah, because the moment you put a couple of nice pieces on a table, the stuff which is okay is quite acceptable. You know, it's about it's a little bit like when we were talking earlier about that idea of doing little elements on all your pieces that are slightly higher detail to raise the overall piece. Yeah, by including a couple of really nice centerpieces, yeah, that has a lot higher detail, in with your larger table of okay tournament stuff, you're raising the table up in the same principle. So that's definitely worth considering. When making terrain for the club, I want to make terrain that I can use with multiple games. I want terrain that I can use in multiple settings. So keep it as generic as possible. I mean, you very much get... We used to have this thing at Gatekeepers where I used to play in Shrewsbury. Yeah, and we used to play because it was essentially a council, you know, like on those, it was a community centre essentially. Yeah, and we used to hire a room, and we used to hire a bit of the storage cupboard for all our terrain and our tables, and we used to play on 2x4s, yeah, laid out on tables, and you'd lay them out to make either a 4x4 or a 6x4, but they were painted grey one side and green the other side. I mean, it always used to be the argument. What we're playing 40k, fantasy. I mean, that was it. Do you want grey or green? I've seen the future. It's grey. But that idea of simplifying your sets, because what we had was, we had very much had grey scenery sets and green scenery sets. Right. He's been studying that dictionary. It looks like the whole gang has showed up. I don't see Jace. I need to catch up with him. If you're watching, Jace, hello. Hello, Rudy. Jimmy's saying, hills are hills, rocks are rocks. Build a 40k administration building in a fantasy setting is a screw up. True. True. I'm thinking of that as a challenge now. You know, my brain's like, could you do it? Could you do it? How would you do that? Overgrown, perhaps? Do it in some sort of fantasy marbling setting, so the gothic elements could be tied to the gothic sort of architecture of fantasy stuff. Maybe insert magnets where the Aquila was and have some sort of detachable sort of like moss overgrown stuff that you can drop in and hide key specific features, so you know it easily ties to what you call it to a fantasy setting. The snow on my CD-based trees has gone yellow-white colour. Why has it done that? Couple of reasons. Oxidization of the whatever you're using for the snow or the PVA. Best thing you can do is probably just give it a spray of of white primer now, and then give it a blast of satin varnish, and that'll make it go back to snow, mate. Oh, when are you going to finish the altar? I'm back in on Monday finishing that off. Right. Lot of comments. Mel, has Solvent Abuse UK left YouTube as I can't find his video on graffiti? I don't know. I haven't seen him in my feed in ages, and I haven't seen him on Facebook, to be truthful. So I don't know, mate. For X-Wing Armada, double-sided, one-sided stars, backside Star Wars planet. Yeah, that makes sense. Can of expanding foam and green spray paint. Tables done in 2 squirts. Yeah, that would work very easily. Very easily. Right. My brew is getting a little bit empty. Right, so tournament terrain. I think that we've had an interesting chat on that, actually. To wrap it up, I think we're all pretty much agreed it needs to be simple, yeah, to make. Right. Return on the forced perspective comment. Front to back, out to centre, larger, more detailed foreground. The more the viewer looks in and through the smaller objects. You just rolled your chair back close to the camera. Okay, right, I'm lost. Alright, bud. I think I get what you're saying. Hello, Cecil. Right, what I'm going to do now is, if you've enjoyed the chat, links down below. You can send a tip on PayPal and Patreon, guys. Yeah, and in the meantime, I'm going to take a quick 2 minutes, refresh the mug, and then we'll jump into the questions. I've got 8 questions so far. Links down below in the description, same place as the PayPal tip link. And get your questions in if you've got any terrain questions, and we'll get on to your questions next, yeah? Alright. I will see you in about 2 minutes, guys. And we're back. Hello, folks. Right. This is actually the first live chat stream I've been able to catch while it was live. Welcome aboard, Edwina. Right, we've got 10 questions in. Mel, could you do a reminder to everyone that firework rocket sticks work well for 28mm timbers and pumpkin stalks work well as tree stumps? The pumpkin stalk one is brilliant. I like that one, mate. But yes, it is free 5mm stick season time. Right. Questions. Through these. Right, Leslie is asking, I have a couple of foreground laser cut pre-coloured buildings. The small parts easily delaminate, particularly if they project and have additional details engraved on the surface. What would you recommend to finish the building to stop this happening? And I know what you mean, okay? What you get is this situation of, with the finer details, and it's not just foreground, I've had this with Sarissa and a few other things, is when you get below 3mm, they start cutting in like, or sort of condensed cardboard almost, yeah? And even with it being painted, you know, everyone knows cardboard, it can delaminate, and especially if you get situations where you've got fine details which involve a point. I had a real struggle with the windows in the foreground church built up of multiple layers of cardboard, painted cardboard. And obviously they're Gothic windows, so they've got the little spirals and all that sort of stuff. I had a lot of problems with those delaminating. I had to be very careful when popping them out, because as you pop them out, you can delaminate them a little bit then. Yeah, I found the best thing to do was to use a very sharp point. Yeah, to delaminate them, cut the tags, not to delaminate them, to get them out the sprue. Cut the tags, and then when they were glued in place, what I did was I pressed them in place, and as they were gluing, you get a little bit of bead of white glue around the piece, you know, like you normally glue when you push things together. I got a slightly wet brush and just brushed that up and down the edges, the most exposed edges, just so it sort of soaked into the edges and just sealed it all together. Obviously, yeah, foreground pieces are painted, but they're not sealed, so you can actually give them a spray of matte varnish at the end to seal them in as well. Okay, so that's an option as well, but I know what you're talking about. The trick is to avoid delamination as you're taking them out, as you're putting them on, and then you've got a choice. You can either spread the glue with a wet brush or give them a spray with a matte varnish, and that'll seal it in, Leslie. Yeah, I hope that helps. Right, let's just have a nose at the comments, see if anyone, yeah, has got any other input. Odin. Oh, it's not related to this, but mini heart attack. Got inquisitorial acolyte done. Was going to spray it with varnish. Noticed missing highlight. Took paint pot to fix it, and as I opened the pot, I dropped it on the miniature. Right side up, no damage, but I'm next to dead. I've had moments like that where I've spilt something, and then just through the power of the universe, it's managed to miss everything crucial. Yeah, that it's landed right next to. You know what I mean? Gary, I do see more palm trees in his future. I see a lot more palm trees in my future. Also, I'm thinking, would you guys like an industrial refinery? I've noticed something came up. Yeah, a load of people off the back of me doing the skull stuff said, I know you're a historical player. And I'm like, okay, I know I play bolt action, but I'm a 40k fantasy guy. And people, and then Kez turned around to me and she was like, well, when was the last time you did any sci-fi? And I worked out, it was the first year of the channel. When I last, I'm like, right, okay, no wonder everyone thinks I've been doing historical. Yeah, so I need to do some sci-fi. just broke a final pillar of my space station. Oh, dude. What's happened with the chat then? Why has the chat stopped working? How do you refresh it? I don't even know how to refresh it. Uh-oh, I've clicked a button. I don't know if we can fix that. I'll go there. Doesn't work on that one. I don't know what's happening with the chat. It's going to be one of those nights, but it is played next to the YouTube video. Oh, he chat's back. Computers, I'll tell you what. They're supposed to work. The idea is you click a button, something happens. There is some magical voodoo that goes on in between in the real world. Yeah, because I click buttons and one thing happens, I click it again, something else happens, I click it again, the chat disappears. Mel, I'm going to the Amazon store tomorrow. Need anything? I've got a hell of a shopping list, mate. It's actually linked down below my Amazon shopping list if you'd like to help me out. Yeah, but anyway, Leslie, that's the answers that I think. I don't think anyone else is going to chip in with anything. So, yeah, hope it helps, mate. A loyal supporter is asking, can you please do a video on how to play bolt action? All the other videos are so complicated and boring. Beasts of War do a good one. I like theirs. I've watched it about 7 times. No, I can't do a video on how to play bolt action. One, I'm not confident enough in the rules to be willing to put out a video explaining the rules. Yeah, it's very much like just because you can do something doesn't mean you can do it well enough to teach it and have other people rely on it. Yeah, do you know what I mean? It's I don't feel confident enough to do a decent enough video on playing bolt action to do rules. Secondly, it's not what my channel's about really. I do intend to do a game of bolt action for the channel, because when I do my Burma build to the stage where I can actually get my models on and it's looking really sweet, I've promised all along that I want to do a bit of a giggle one. You know what I mean? Mel, something always happens. It just often isn't what you plan on happening. To the story of my life. Edwina, you can spray styrofoam. You've just got to do it in little blasts from a distance. Yeah, the propellant will normally, which is the stuff that melts styrofoam, will normally evaporate off if you do it in lots of little blasts at a distance. It's only when you get a large concentration that it remains as a liquid and it melts the styrofoam. Everything is possible with time and patience. Click the button. Praise the Omnissiah. Something happens. I tried to get something off your wish list. It messed up my account. I don't know how that works. Bolt action is a winner. It is. Just claim you're using house rules. We do use house rules for a couple of things in bolt action, to be truthful. Well, we use a couple of first edition things in the second edition. We're not a big fan of templates, which is second edition, because it means that we've got to go around the other side of the table. So we stick with those rules. Wife's bargaining to me to the dinner table. I'm in trouble. Catch you later, Jam. Rule 1. Find someone willing to play with you and not to be too serious. End of rules. That's a good rule. Edwina, yeah, you can seal it. Just a thin coat of what you call it, watered down filler will seal it, and you can give it a bit of a heavy blast. Secondly, you can get foam safe sprays, yeah, that are designed. But most importantly, it's about how you spray. So for example, you're far better, if you're spraying foam, you're far better actually spraying it so the foam is actually up against something and you're spraying like that, than spraying downwards. If you spray downwards, you encourage the propellant, the liquid propellant, to sort of sit on the piece. Yeah, whereas if you spray it like that, you encourage it to evaporate up and off before it hits the piece. Yeah, I should do a video on spraying foam, shouldn't I? Spray techniques. Would you like that? Oh, Randy. Probably the difference between Amazon and Amazon UK. That could be a thing, yeah. Do the lacquers or alcohol-based sprays melt the foam? Not sure. I've not used lacquers on bare foam, and I've never used alcohol-based sprays. I normally use standard acrylics. No, Michael's fixed his pillar. Nice one, dude. Space station keeps going. Right. Question. Next question. 4 of 10. Right, Snowman's asking, how can I make an amazing concoction of fake snow for my dioramas on one that is... Oh! Stuart's come on as a patron. Thank you, buddy. And one... Right, back to the question. Yeah, thanks again, Stuart. It is appreciated, buddy. How could I make an amazing concoction of fake snow for my dioramas and one that is strong and doesn't react when I try and seal it with watered down PVA glue? Right. First off, with regards to the snow concoction, my current favourite recipe at the minute is a mix of sort of 50-50 acrylic filler and 1mm white nylon static grass from flocking.biz. I'm not associated with them, it's just where you can get it from. And then thinned down to prefer consistency with PVA. Was it PVA? No, it wasn't PVA, it was white glue, wasn't it? No, with white acrylic. Yeah, so white acrylic filler / caulking. Yeah, 50-50 with 1mm white nylon static grass, and then use white acrylic as a thinner. That'll give it the volume, the nylon will give it the texture, and the acrylic paint will give it the long-lasting non-yellowing. I don't recommend sealing with watered down PVA, yeah, when you're doing snow stuff. I actually recommend a matte varnish. Yeah, hairspray is a good temporary adhesive. A matte varnish is a really good way of adhering it. A satin varnish will give you a very nice snow look on top of it. Yeah, much better than if you go with a watered down PVA. Watered down PVA always tends to darken things. If you want any videos on any of these, bud, yeah, just check the water, snow and lava playlist. Yeah, the terrain techniques, water, snow and lava. You'll find it on the channel homepage. Yeah, but there's a video specifically on how to do deep snow, and it's all covered in there for you, mate. So, Snowman, get snowing. Right, what's going on in them there comments? Hey, nerd. Tam, you know him. He always includes the mistakes. There can be so many. I think it's important that you do show the mistakes, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, when it comes to, I've always had this beef, yeah, with this sort of this post-production perfectionist. You know what I mean? Because we've got the ability to film, we've got the ability to refilm, we can edit, we can choose, yeah, what we want. I mean, the only things I take out of my videos is the dead space in between what I'm doing something and that sort of stuff. And so what you actually get is, you know, everything that's in the video. I don't have a script. I have bullet points of the sections and the key points. Yeah. And so I don't edit the language and the verbal content of my videos either, because I think it's important that, look, if you're going to learn the process. And part of the process is screwing up. Yeah. But the most important lesson from learning to make things and be creative, especially when you're trying new things, is to understand that it's perfectly okay to screw up and you can fix it. It's very rare there's a screw up that... I can't remember the last time I had a screw... I mean, I screw up a lot. You know what I mean? It's me. I screw up a hell of a lot. But I can't remember the last time I screwed up a piece of terrain that badly that I had to throw it away. The only caveat to that, I will say, is when I'm experimenting and I'm playing with something. Yeah, because I'm going in with the intention of, I'm going to be throwing it away. It's disposable, it's an it was a tutorial piece, now it's an experimental piece. And that's what happens when I finish a piece for a tutorial. It literally gets thrown in a box, and then when I want to practice a technique or try something out, I've got loads of little different bits of lots of different hills, hedges, buildings, bunkers, tents that I can pull something out. Right, give it a go on here. And that's the only time I've ever knackered something that's like, yeah, that's going to be no use for anything. Yeah, but for actual screwing up something I was trying to put together, it's been a long time since in fact, I can't remember the last time I've done it. But I make loads of mistakes, but you can fix those. Yeah, and I think it's important when you're teaching people to try things that they haven't done before, to show them, look, I've done it loads and I make mistakes, but you can fix them. And I think that's the key thing to get across. Oh, I went on a bit of a mamble then, a melble. So, many movies do a blooper video. Do you have any bloopers for airing? This goes back to the thing, I don't really have bloopers to air because I include them in my video anyway. Do you know what I mean? You know, if I drop something or hurt myself, genuinely, it's normally in the video. Yeah, the only thing that I'll edit out of a video is if I've hurt myself that badly that I've swore. Yeah, because obviously kids watch the videos and stuff like that. You know, I'm a dad. You know, and I'm quite conscious that a lot of the people who watch my videos are parents, and they watch my videos in a room where the kids are. You know what I mean? So if I start swearing on my videos, then they can't watch them while the kids are around, and it makes it awkward for them. So that's the only time I tend to edit out anything. With regards to bloopers, I mean, you've got to remember, I do live shows in the video in my studio. And what you got? I mean, I've had cans of spray paint. I've been running around the studio with spray paint squirting out of a can. Yeah, spraying the ceiling live on YouTube. Yeah, so no, I don't have any blooper rolls, mate. It's just my videos. Sometimes there are happy accidents, and sometimes Mel's in the studio. That's how we learn and improve. It is though, striking and going back to the showing the mistakes. You will learn more from making the mistake than you will from doing it right, because you'll understand it. Nerd saying he's a bit sick and tired of games like Bolt Action where all the weapons are really short ranged. But he's saying it's a good game, but the weapons in that game shouldn't have such short range. It's that abstract scale system, isn't it? I'd be quite interested to play it at a smaller scale, because I love the bolt action mechanics. You know what I mean? But I think at 28mm, weapon ranges become a bit weird because of the scale we play at on a 6x4. Mel is a blooper. Mel is a blooper. Not mistakes with terrain pieces, but stupid funny stuff. Yeah, that goes in the videos as well, mate. You know, it very much is camera on, film the bit, cut out, well, I don't even cut out the dead bits now, I just speed them up, you know, and add a bit of classical music. I quite like that. Do you like the classical music stuff? The time the brown paint can exploded was fun. It's still on my ceiling. Nerd saying he plays 15mm bolt action. Right. As a hobby artist myself, I find it frustrating the finished piece is never exactly as I envisioned to begin with. I find it hard to accept, yet mates will like the work. Any coping tips? Sorry, mate. That's the artistic challenge. You as an artist, yeah, you will never have anyone more critical and more unimpressed with your work as you do. You will be able to spot every single mistake on that board from 8 foot away, yeah, but you won't see how beautiful it is in the eyes of your mates and everyone else. It's just the curse of wanting to be, I'm not going to say better than you are, yeah, because we're always getting better, you know what I mean? The more we do, the better we get, as long as we're passionate and concentrate about it, yeah? But I think we all want to do far better than we actually not able to do, but sometimes do. Yeah, so unfortunately, dude, my only coping strategy is just to say, look, understand that's the way it is, and that's the curse of being a passionate artist, yeah, and having passion for your work and wanting it to be as you envisage it. It gets easier to deal with it the more you do, because you start to you get used to it. Yeah, I still criticize all my pieces. I can see mistakes all over them and that sort of stuff. But I've reached the point where I can also see how good they are. Yeah, and that just comes with practice, mate. Right. Question 5 of 12. Okay, Sir Ice Cube's asking, what's the best material to get started when creating landscapes for beginners? Well, obviously, if you're creating landscapes, we're talking about hills and that sort of stuff. You've got standard options. You've got styrofoam. You can break that down, work with it quite easy, and then give it a filler coat to texture it up. You could use something like expanding foam out of a can if you want to make a bit more volume. Or you've got, or you've got rolled up newspaper and then lay over plaster bandage. Yeah, Mod Rock it's called. And you can lay that over your sort of all your rolled up newspaper, and that'll make landscapes and that sort of stuff. They're 3 cheap options, mate. There's videos on all of those in the terrain playlist, the techniques playlist, the hills, rocks and cliffs play. Do you know what? Considering these are my playlists and I've had these playlists for 5 years, why is it I still don't know what they're bloody called? I'm gonna have to go learn them. But hills, rocks and cliffs playlist, mate. Have a look on the channel homepage. Yeah, you'll see it in there. There's techniques on all of those in there. Oh, see you later, Brian. Oh, he's off play Legion. Nice one. If you are doing, say, a bolt action piece, then you need some appropriate war music in the background. Music is something I'm gonna slowly improve on. As you know, I evolve my videos as we go along, and what I want to do is I'm getting the angles and all that sort. I'm getting the colours right, the sound's getting a hell of a lot better. Yeah, once we've got that quite on, I'm gonna polish it up with, you know, the right sort of music and that sort of stuff. But at the minute, I'm just enjoying a few classical pieces. I'm currently doing some sci-fi terrain and playing the soundtrack to Dune in the background. Oh, what you call it? Is it Frank Herbert? That's Dune, isn't it? I've listened to a couple of the audiobooks. Do like Dune. I used to love the game. It was like the first real-time strategy game, yeah, that came out. I think I had it on my Amiga, and that was a brilliant game. The conversation about scales in bolt action is still going on in the comments, and they've worked their way down in scales, and now they're settling around about 6 mil, and then you can start to properly represent weapon ranges. No worries, Phantom. Ryan saying, not really a question, Mal, but I just wanted to thank you for your advice last week about motivation for the hobby during my depression and down days. No worries, buddy. We all have ups and downs, and some of us have bigger ups and bigger downs than others. But always remember, yeah, even while the roller coaster is going down, you'll soon come back up again. Yeah, just go with just ride with it. Galax asking, quick question, what foam should I use for a house structure? The shape of the house so it's sturdy. Also, how long should an average building of about 6 by 6 inches take to build? Right, there's 2 questions there, buddy. Right, let's go for the first one. If you're building houses and structures, if it's a substructure that you're going to lay timber and filler up, you know, and then put the details on top of, you're going to be able to do that with expanded foam, with nice clean cuts, or with a hot wire cutter. You know, probably a scroll one with a guide. If you want to sort of do the details into the actual foam, then you're going to need XPS. Yeah, high density extruded polystyrene. Yeah, so it depends on which way you want to detail it. Now, with regards to how long should an average build of about 6 by 6 inches take to build, it's one of these, how long is a piece of string, mate? How many windows are you going to put in it? You're going to put, is the roof going to be just painted? Is it going to be thatched? Are you going to do individual tiles? Are you going to go for individual shingles and detail the individual shingles? Is it going to have a chimney? Outhouses? The windows, are they open? Are they closed? Yeah. Are you going to just wattle a door, but are you just going to filler and just paint the walls white? Or are you going to go and do the brickwork? Yeah. There is no such as how long does it take to make an average terrain piece. The level of detail you can put in a terrain piece, it goes from ridiculously simple like 3-color tabletop all the way up to photorealistic diorama. And so it is very much, how long does it take is very much how long is a piece of string. Now they're talking about in the bolt action question, the question of, right, you're going from a game to realism, and we're talking about realism and playability, and they're sort of saying sounds like you more like want a simulation rather than a game, and recommendations for advanced squad leader, which I've heard is very good. I've been using Flock and Cunt Volleys for the first time. It makes everything so damn good. It does, nerd. Right. For the Chinjits, the Kiwi March, Kawaii March is a must. Although the copyright, I don't know. We'll have to check. Right, there's a couple of conversations in the comments that I'm not sure on, so I'm not going to comment. I've lost the stream. Right, so that's the phone question, Galak. Remember, guys, if you are enjoying this, the link's down below for tips. I'll check PayPal for anyone who's sent direct in just a second, because I know a few of you do that, and I don't get notifications on my phone anymore. So no, I'll do. And drum roll. Louise, thank you. Louise sent us 10. Louise B, thank you, buddy. Hope that information helped you. Dan M, he sent a couple of nuggets. Oh, that was 7 days ago. And Oddins. Okay. Harry Hill, yeah, we're good. Oh, itchy nose. When was that? Was that today? I think so. Kenneth H, he sent us a few nuggets as well. He looks like he sent us about $15. Thank you, buddy. Oh no, that was yesterday. So it's just Harry and Louise today. Thank you, guys. It is appreciated. It does help with, keeping this and doing all this and this sort of stuff. Right, next questions. Right, we're coming up to 10 o'clock. We've got 4 more questions. So I'm going to leave the questions open for another, say, 4 or 5 minutes. If you've got any questions that you desperately want answering and need help with, guys, links down below in the description to the Google Doc. All you need to do is click the link, go to the Google Doc. You don't need to be logged in. Enter your screen name, enter your question, and it'll come up on my screen in just a moment. There's also links for, you know, the tips, the donations, the PayPal, and the Patreon down below, and also the Amazon wish list. I think there are some palm trees on there if you'd like to make me suffer. Have you ever wondered when you look into like another conversation, because I know you guys have these conversations in the comments, yeah, you know, between yourselves as I'm rambling along, yeah, but you walk into a conversation and it's like, it is the Colonel Boogie. What's that about? They're talking about songs. What are you lot going on about in your comments? Right. Richard B. Any tips on how to make quick and easy creators for gaming clubs so they're a bit so they have to be a bit robust? Yeah, dead easy. Tinfoil molds. You know, foil, pie, foil, cup things. What are they called? That hasn't worked. The foil, what you call it, sort of cups that pies come in. What you can do is you can turn those and you can bend them, yeah, and squish them into a rough crater shape that you want. You then turn them upside down and you have a mould. You then get Cristacal, no, not plaster of Paris, but at least Cristacal or Hydrostone or Hydrocal or something, a hard, tough plaster, yeah. You pour it in. As it's setting, you scrape it flat, and then once it's dried, you peel it out of the mould, slap it down, and you've got a really durable crater there. And you can repeat that process. And you can either paint them straight up and slap them down, or you can base them and blend them in with a bit of filler, you know, so they're a little bit more nice. Foil trays, that's it. Thank you, my beautiful, beautiful people. You are a wonderful, beautiful people. There's also creator videos in... We did creator videos in the Let's Make Battlefield Basics series, yeah? So go check the Let's Make videos as well, because there's a couple of really easy and quick techniques in there. Did anyone else hear the knocking sound when he hit his head? Is it actually hollow? Do you know what? I've always wondered that. There's a proper knock. Do you know what I mean? Right. Okay, Rich, listen. So, yeah, that's your answer. Tinfoil molds are really great. If you're after some other techniques, go check the Battlefield Basics playlist, the Let's Make one. Once again, on the channel homepage, guys. That's where you'll find all the crucial playlists. They're all organised in sections there for you. No more. Oh no, 2 more questions in. We're looking good, and I'm shutting the questions in 1 more minute, guys. So if you've got a question, get down below, get it in. Randy, I make terrain for a model of Anubis. Yeah, the sand is supposed to be powdery. Looks good until I used watered down PVA in a squirt bottle. Turned out chunky. What did I do wrong? When you use really fine sand, yeah, when you use watered down PVA, it can, as it dries, the PVA contracts and the sand doesn't have enough weight or bulk to sort of stay in the same place, so it sort of shrinks and goes like that. The trick to doing it, give the top, yeah, a very light spray of watered down PVA, and then as it's drying and it's starting to lose its volume, go in and sprinkle a dusting of your sand on top of it, okay? And then what will happen is that will make like a layer that doesn't clump up, and that's the way to get round that problem, mate. I think if you go to the Back to Basics playlist and have a look at the texturing terrain tips video, I actually demonstrate it in there, and you'll be able to see what I mean. Oh, 17 questions in. Right, okay. I've closed the questions now. If you've got a question, either save it for next week or, you know, email me or hit me on Facebook. I answer questions there as well, guys. Yeah. Oh, pardon me. Right. Question 10 of 17, Keith. How would I make stalagmites for a cave bases? Stalactites hang down. Stalagmites go up. Right. I'd make them out of Daz clay, mate, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, because you can just sort of fix the pieces down. And if what's really clever is, depending on how you're going to do them, yeah, you can do them on coins. Yeah, so they're a bit like scatter terrain that you can move around. I'm imagining you're playing D&D with you looking for cave bases. Stalagmites are generally something that D&D is like. Yeah, but yeah, Daz modelling putty and just build it up. You can work it up with your fingers. I recommend doing blobs. Okay, don't try and do it in one blob and shape it up. Roll a couple of blobs, stack them a bit like a snowman, and then as they're sort of drying, shape them out then, and sort of get your sort of like your weird, because stalagmites form from the basic, the minerals in the water dripping down and basically building piles. Okay, so it's not exactly as smooth as that. It's sort of more stacky. And it's a lot easier to replicate if you do lots of little balls and then stack them on top of each other. It's definitely something to have a play with. See you later, Rudy. So yeah, that is how to do stalagmites. Hope it helps you, buddy. Right, Snowman's back with another question, following on from his snow question of how to seal it and that sort of stuff. Hi again, sorry, how would you do that with household items like flour, etc.? I wouldn't use flour or baking soda for what you call it, for terrain. They're notorious for going yellow. What you want is something inert. Yeah, so either something like the plastic flock from Woodland Scenics, which is plastic acrylic shavings, or the white nylon static grass, yeah, the 1 mil stuff, because that's plastic as well. It doesn't, well, it can yellow, but it takes a long time to yellow, whereas things like baking soda and flour, they absorb moisture and they yellow and because they're not inert, they change colour really quickly. I mean, you can throw a load of white acrylic in and seal them up pretty good. Yeah, that's the best option if you can only use flour or baking soda. Yeah, throw a load of acrylic in and seal them so they're airtight. Hope that helps you, buddy. Right, question 12 or 17. Dan the 1 minute mod. Need to send you some stuff, buddy. Is it best to send to the studio address? It certainly is, mate. Always best to send to the studio address. Yeah, Tam's throwing in just very quickly. Flour also runs the risk of going mouldy. Yeah, once again, not inert. That's it. I mean, the mould isn't an option if you seal it completely, because mould is associated with being exposed to the atmosphere and moisture and all that sort of stuff. So if you seal it, it'll be fine. But it is still an issue that you don't get with, you know, the plastic shavings or the nylon fibre. Jonathan saying the HATE Club for working hard on our terrain building session this afternoon. Congratulations, guys. Congratulations. Right. Nerds asking, I need help with 6 mil World War II buildings, Mel. 6 mil. Most people sculpt 6 mil. But that question is too vague. You said you need help. You haven't asked me what you actually need, and I've closed the questions now, nerd. Oh, should have jumped in there earlier, matey. Okay, Rudy. Can you do a video on the skeletal remains frozen in ice or exposed through harsh weather erosion? I don't know. I'll have to think about it, mate. It's definitely not in the series playlist as I have them at the moment. You know what I mean? Evening, James. All right. So next question, 15 of 17. Matthias, what type of terrain type is most flexible and most useful for most different game types? Hills. Hills are the most generic terrain thing you can get. Yeah, I always recommend them as like one of the starting points for building up your terrain sets, because you can use them for absolutely everything. You know, a hill is a hill, whether it's more medieval, dark age, current, futuristic. So yeah, hills, mate. After that, I'd probably say woods. Generally, when it comes to which has the most flexibility, it's generally what themes of nature. So obviously, you know, for me, I play a lot of greenfield games. And so, you know, green hills, woods, hedges, countryside terrain, that's the most flexible for me. If you played a lot, of, say, historical desert settings, then I would say desert terrain, and then theme your sci-fi terrain into your desert colours, so it ties over into other systems as well. Sorry, Mel. No worries, nerd. No worries at all. Email me, mate. Right. Question 16. Bill in Iowa. Do you know if it's possible to add PVA to Hydrocal to toughen it? I need the ratio. Theoretically, you could. I don't know what it would do to it, because I've always used Cristacal, and there's no need to toughen that stuff anymore. You need pliers to snap the damn stuff, so you don't need to toughen it. I'm just trying to think if I ever... Do you know what? I think I have added PVA to Cristacal in the past to make some sort of a terrain glue for a large hill. It worked. Ratio? I don't know ratio wise. I think I went with consistency. Do you know what I mean? Once I got it looking, I added PVA instead of water until I could get it to a stage where I could get it mixed. I mean, PVA is essentially, you know, polyvinyl acetate in a water. So there's water content in PVA when you mix it. So it does kick the chemical reaction off. Welcome aboard, Chris. Oh, Louise. Welcome. Thank you, Chris. It was very much appreciated. Grimlock say, asking if I'm off today. I don't think I'm off. I have had a busy week in all fairness. But actually, I'm feeling quite chipper. Am I off? Am I different than normal? Throat's a bit sore. I've been doing a lot of cleaning, so there's been a lot of dust in the air. So I don't know if I'm sounding a bit downer. You know what I mean? A bit... No, shit. That's going to get clipped, innit? That'll be on the terrainiacs group in about 5 minutes. Ugh. Right. So yeah, Bill, you can throw PVA into these things. I'd have an experiment first, but personally, swap to Cristacal, mate. You won't need to toughen it up. You're chilled, and that's a good thing. Yeah, I am chilled. I've had this ugh. Nerd. Nah, you ain't off, Mel. Yeah, that's alright. Yeah, doubting myself then. I've had this bit of a mad clear up. There was a lot of clutter in the house, you know, because of just lives and all that sort of stuff. You know, and it's part of like a lot of the things I've been doing this week, you know. I've pretty much non-stop cleaning and sorting at home, which is why the dust and the itching and the sore throat and that sort of stuff. But I've got to say, I'm loving how clean and spacious the house is. So yeah, I am quite chipper. Right, last question. RDT, crackle mediums. I've tried Vallejo, some art store ones, and even a couple of DIY with wood filler and paint. I need help working on a modular 4x8 table. I need lots. Thanks, Mel. Right. If you need lots, then you don't need a medium. You need a crackle technique, mate. Okay? Dead easy. Get yourself some filler. Add perhaps 1 part water to 10 parts filler. Yeah? So, you know, if you've got a tub like that, you want about that much at the top. You know what I mean? Yeah, 1/10 of water. Just to slurry it up. If it's particularly thick filler, maybe a little bit more. But you want enough water so the filler is pourable. Okay? Just. Go along, and wherever you want your crackle, effect, pour it out. Yeah? Give it a little bit of a whiz around with a stick, because if it's pourable, it'll be a bit liquidy. Move it into the corners. Once it's all in place, get a heat gun. Yeah? And very quickly dry over. Yeah? The entire, piece. So you dry the top coat. You don't need to dry it a mil or two. But once that's dry and the bottom is underneath, leave it. The bottom will evaporate off. The water will go. It will reduce volume. As it reduces volume, your top bit, which is dry, will sink down, crack, and separate from itself. And essentially, what you're doing is the exact thing that causes crackling in mud. Yeah, you're just making mud, yeah, basically with your filler and water, pouring it in, drying the top surface, and then the wet stuff underneath, as it evaporates off and it all dips down, it cracks and separates. That's the exact process that... Sorry. Oh, told you, dusty. But that's the exact same process that mud goes through. You're just using mud made out of filler and a heat gun rather than the sun. So there you are. Cheap, dirt cheap, dead easy, massively scalable, and very realistic because it's the same technique, so it looks perfect. Oh my god, I love you, thank you. I totally get it. Well, if you love me, mate, links down below. I hope that helps you. See? Dead easy, these things. He's just gone, right, filler. I've spent a fortune on acrylic pastes and... Nah, slow you. Follow the techniques. I spent ages working that one out. The amount of tests I did. Like damn rain. Right, so that is all of my questions. I am caught up. And folks, that is why we all watch him. Great tips. Thanks. I'm quite good at making terrain as well. Oh, tips. No, right. She's going to hit me for that. Right, so that is my questions done. I can close that down now. Right. Oh, so have we had a good show, people? Is there any last desperate questions you want to fill a couple of minutes in? Throw them in the comments. But to be truthful, I'm starting to get a bit of a really sore throat. I think all this dust and the cleaning and that sort of stuff is actually sort of getting to me, you know what I mean? Sort of drying it out and the talking on the live show. Yeah, now, nerds say mastic is great. Brown mastic makes great roads. Are we talking about flexible roads here? Bill's saying he's going to switch over to Cristacal. Nice one, buddy. Ah, Pagan and... I'm not even sure. HD? Nerd saying it's been a good show. Yeah, it's been great. Nice one. Schedule. Video out on Tuesday, video out on Thursday. It's a ramble on Tuesday, and then Thursday should be the watch at the end of the skull. Assuming my water effects have worked this time. Can I borrow a tenner? I do need to check my PayPals. I'll see how many PayPals have done, mate. So, very quickly, check if we've had any more direct. What do you mean fingerprints not recognised? It's the only one I've got. Right, doesn't look like we've had any more. But thank you to Harry and thank you to, to, I think it was Michael, Louise, yeah, for their donations. It is appreciated, guys. Odin's got 4 inquisitorial miniatures done. Nice one. I've been clearing out my area. I mean, it's a bit. Let me take you on a bit of an adventure. Here you go. Yeah, so I've been sort of like cleaning. This is my desk. Yeah, and then, as you can see, bit of a cull. But one of the things that I've been doing and quite busy doing is like clearing off a bit of space down here from a painting station because I want to start doing painting again. It's been too long. I haven't hobbied. You know, it's been a bit too much terrain and not enough just sit down and paint. And I need to sit down and paint with the kids, to be truthful. So I've got painting stations to sort and that sort of stuff. Reflex, thank you for your help. You're very welcome, and thank you, buddy. MDFs make for a decent base. If so, do you what do you guys? Is there something better? There we go. Thank you, buddy. Right, Mick. We tend to use EPVC. What I recommend is there's a video in the Back to Basics playlist on basing materials. And loads of different materials are covered there. But it's either MDF or EPVC. Yeah, expanded PVC foam board. Like I say, there's videos in the Back to Basics playlist. It's also covered in Common Terrain Materials, I think. No kids, wife or dog. Well, Oz is there. He's just picked his ears up. What? I'm having food. I've got no food for you, mate. Sorry. He's coming over anyway, just in case. Kez has gone bed early, yeah, and the kids have gone bed early. It's the end of a week off, so it's settling down. So I've got the house to myself, and I've got a couple of drawers I need to sort out, and I've got some hobby material to sort out, and then I've got to get ready for studio tomorrow. You know when you just nip into the comments again? You just say, random comment of the moment. You know what my favourite strategy is? As soon as I see the enemy, duck down like the Americans did in World War II and drop as much artillery on the enemy as possible. What conversation does that fit into? Are you talking war games? Are you talking someone who's trying to nick your phone? Oh, Reflex is getting on Patreon. Thank you. You're a godsend for terrain arts and a good guy all round. Thank you. And so are you. I genuinely do appreciate the guys, you know, who appreciate me and, you know, appreciate the shows and are willing to throw $1 or $2 my way a month to help keep me going. Yeah, so thank you for becoming a patron, buddy. Right, I think we're going round in circles now, and Mel's done his, crossed the legs, my bladder is screaming at me. Schedule for next week's live show next week is Remembrance Day Parade, but there shouldn't be any issue with... no, there shouldn't be any issue with the show. So, next live show should be 9 o'clock UK time, next Sunday time, so exactly the same as this one. If you are a football fan and you happen to watch the Stoke match today, you may have seen my lad marching with the cadets around the stadium, or lining up by the players' exit, I think it was. But next weekend it's Remembrance Day, so we're off out with him. In the meantime, my throat is actually getting rather sore now because I'm talking and I am just going around in circles. So let's call it, guys. Listen, thanks for a brilliant show, guys. Thanks for my donations. Thanks for my supporters and the guys who jumped on Patreon. Genuinely appreciate it. If you have got any other terrain questions that you didn't get answered in this show, or you need a bit of follow-up, ask me in the comments, get me on Facebook, just get in touch, guys. I'm here to help you. And in the meantime, I'll see you soon, guys. All the best, yeah? Ta-ra. Good show. Good show. Ta-da. What-o?